There was some twist.
Was it
Well,
scary? Yeah.
wasn't that scary?
Wasn't that
No,
scary?
it's not. I mean, it's not horror. It's a mix of a lot of
More like
genres.
suspense.
Yeah.
It
Oh,
was
suspense.
an interesting story though.
Hmm.
I mean that. Yeah, I mean the concept of a parasitic twin. That's quite. I don't think I've seen that before. Have you?
No, I
I've
haven't either.
they've seen a story which is similar, but definitely not the same.
A
Like
movie story or like a documentary story? I've seen documentaries of like conjoined and parasitic twins,
no, I've
but
seen a horror story. I forgot what it was called, but it was sort of like an out of body experience similar to this one.
ah,
But it wasn't a parasitic twin, but it was like an imaginary friend.
Yeah. The whole imaginary friend. Yes.
Yeah, so this one was sort of like the imaginary friend, but instead of the imaginary friend getting the person to kill them, it was actually the parasitic twin in this one, it seems.
Yeah, that's the twist. It's actually the twin conjoined to her body using her body.
So it it hasn't been like super overdone in horror movies, but at least it's an interesting take on it.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of all makes sense in the end because you're like, oh, no wonder, why he knew about the attic in her
mm,
house, and
Mm.
it also made sense how, or at the very beginning when she got her head knocked, that's
that's
when
when
this
the
started
trouble
happening.
started. Yeah.
Like
There are a couple of
oh,
things where when the typical horror story at the beginning, when
mm,
she senses someone's in the house,
Yeah.
instead of going outside, she
Yeah.
runs upstairs. You go, why is it every movie people run upstairs? Stop running upstairs. That's not escape. Run outside and knock on your
Yeah,
neighbor's
get
door,
out.
you silly goose.
yeah, I guess the story kind of makes sense, but it is a bit weird.
Oh, and
Yeah.
That's okay.
the fact that she said, "Oh, he wants to talk to you," but like he doesn't have a separate phone. So how does? Oh, yeah, that was weird.
Yeah,
I don't.
that part doesn't really make sense. Like if he's part of her, how
How does he
did
talk to her on the
how
phone? Yeah.
yeah how that happen?
Exactly. And how does he call her? Like, what number does he use to call her on her phone? Because she's the one that says,
Well, it's always unknown from
Yeah,
someone
I guess
unknown.
it's unknown, but as well considering that the parasitic twin could actually talk through the radio, it could be similar to that.
Ah,
That's the only explanation I could think of.
right.
"Oh, I see, yeah, because he can
Yeah.
activate." And same with that toy phone, and yeah, and the radio. So somehow maybe needing in some electronic device.
Yeah. So it seems like that parasitic twin has power over some electronics, like
Yeah.
even at the end, the pacemaker
Yeah, that's right.
kind of
That's
blew
right.
up.
Yeah, he has control of electronics. Yeah. Seems to be like his superpower.
Mm.
I mean, it makes sense why the movie is called Malignant now. It's like a cancer that has to be
Cut out.
cut out, right? Like in
Mm.
that's the line in the beginning. Cut out the cancer.
Mm. Reminds me a bit of like Stargate.
Stargate. What? Why?
What, like Teal'c,
Like Teal'c, you mean?
like
They're like
how
the parasitic invaders of the body, like the Gould.
the Guang,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, because the person is separated from the parasite. So the person and the parasite have two different mindsets as well. So when the parasite comes out, the person comes back.
Mm.
Yeah. I mean, it's sort of. At first, you thought it's like your standard horror thing, but it turned into something different.
Or cross with maybe some
Yeah,
supernatural.
some kind of. Well, I think James Wan describes it as body horror genre.
Yeah, but as well, they didn't really make it that scary. I was hoping
Yeah,
it would be scarier.
Now he did say it's different from his other movies, which tend to be more straightforward horror. That's why he was saying how it's different in that sense, because it's not like his what people have come to expect from him, right? Because he did like Saw, he did The Conjuring. Those were like more, your standard horror movies.
Mm.
Yeah, this one, as you say, it's kind of mixed with few different things. Yeah, like well, he says it's inspired by films of other horror masters like Brian De Palma, David Cronenberg.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, but it's an interesting take of a horror story. I kind of enjoyed it a bit. Maybe not too much because it did seem a bit dull at some points. Like a lot of talking for a horror movie.
Yeah, it's also So it's not horror, right? It's a bit of a mystery as well.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's because it's not what people might think a horror would be.
Yeah.
I thought it was fine in terms of pacing and things happening because you're always wondering who's this person, how are they related. Like that tour guide, I was going, who is this random chick? But at the beginning, you could see the doctors. So when he chased after Dr. Florence, what's her name? You sort of went,
Weaver.
Weaver,
Florence
that's
Weaver.
it. You sort of go, yep, totally get it. And then there were the other two guys. You're like, oh yeah, I remember at the beginning there were two other guys there. And the line at the beginning of, oh, we need to cut the cancer out, and he repeats that, and you're like, oh, this is ominous.
Yeah. I mean, at first, seems like there's these random people popping up, but in the end, they're all connected to her past.
Yep. So it's kind of a silly story, but good.
Yeah. So I think I read somewhere some reviewer said it's bonkers, but also quite brilliant.
Yeah, I think it's a really good way of doing it.
Bonkers.
Oh, bonkers.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of putting it. It's like
it's quite bonkers at the end. I mean, that just the whole visual image of her body being used in that way.
Yeah.
But it's kind of a nice twist.
And at least they try to put a bit of comedy into it.
Yeah.
Really? I didn't find any of it comedic as such. It was more like a detective story of trying to work out who is the real culprit. And then I was going, is it the sister? Because there was something else that didn't make sense.
I was suspecting the sister a bit.
Yeah, because I was going, why? If my sister told me I heard
wanted
voices,
to try to find out what was going on, so she did find that history.
That's fine,
right,
but what didn't make sense is if I was a sister and heard my sister say, I'm hearing voices and all the victims are somehow connected, I'm sort of going, my first port of call isn't to take her to the police to tell, because it sounds crazy to me. Why would I take them to the police? They're going to think she's crazy too. There's got to be some other point, some other bits of help, like a psychologist, psychiatrist, hypnotherapist I go to before going to the police, because they're going to think she's crazy too, which is exactly what happened.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So I think Jono put it well, because it is pretty silly, but
yeah, but they did go to that hypnotist.
Yeah.
It's silly, but still believable. It's like watching Studio Ghibli films where there's a fantasy element where it's definitely not grounded in real life, but they sort of meld that with reality and you buy into it in the same way that you buy into everything that's happening.
You just have to suspend your disbelief a little
Ghibli
bit.
films. I love Ghibli films.
Yeah.
Really good.
They are good.
But I'm sort of a person who finds like the funny bits in horror movies.
Yeah, there
So,
may be
yeah.
a few little moments that are maybe funny.
I
but
think the most obvious one is calling the police in the police station.
calling the police at the police station.
Oh yeah, that's right. When
Oh.
she picks up the phone, when Sydney, she sees Kakoa and the chick. She's great. I love her no nonsense attitude.
Yeah.
And she goes, why am I calling the police? Because she's in the police station with him.
Exactly.
And Kakoa goes, call the ambulance.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or the
that's like
paramedics.
That
saying,
was
oh,
good. That was
yeah,
good.
what's the number for Triple O?
That was a funny
Yeah.
moment.
Then
Like
911
after like
was
this humongous gory event, so it's why am I calling the police in a police station?
Yeah. I didn't. Like a lot of it just didn't make sense because, like, she was in the room, and the phone started ringing, and
Yeah.
it was a complete separate voice.
Yeah,
No,
the phone. The phone we talked about just now.
Yeah, we already explained that.
A little bit. It's a bit of a plot hole, but
No, I didn't really think so because if the periodic
electronics.
twin kid
Control
control the
electronics.
radios and other electronics, and this voice comes out of those,
Yeah.
you could probably do it with the phone.
Yeah.
But
That-
then
Gabriel can
this-
definitely control lights, so that sort of radiation on the electromagnetism spectrum certainly has some control over it.
Yeah, and it also seems like in some points she was also in control of it as well. So maybe they are connected in that way. And at the end as well, that they share the same brain, so it's the same body. So whatever he can do, she can do as well. They kind of did that at the end.
Yeah, so in the end, what do you think happened to him? She kind of did the reverse on him or something, right? Like,
Yeah, it seems so.
So now he is the one trapped. Is that
But
right?
she'll escape eventually, but she'll be ready.
Yeah, so they kind of like, I don't know,
It's-
sets up a sequel, maybe?
It's definitely set up for a sequel by doing that. You know, I'll get up, I'll get out eventually. Oh yeah, and
Why does everything want to be
I know,
sequels?
and
Everything
I'll
we
be
watch,
ready for
they
it.
want a sequel.
They want a franchise, man. They want another
want a
horror movie
Horror
franchise.
yeah, whatever.
Because
Horror has been overdone.
Because it's easier to build on something existing than start afresh.
Yeah.
And I guess if your original movie did well, there's some guarantee of, even if it doesn't do as well, there's some guarantee of profit and raking in something.
Yeah, but the thing is, with this type of movie, they already revealed what it is in
Yeah.
this movie
It's a
already,
twist,
so it's
The twist is
gonna be hard
no.
to create a sequel.
So
Although with a lot of these rumors, I take these things with a pinch of salt, unless it comes out of the horse's mouth that yes, we are doing a sequel.
yeah.
That seems like it's just people who've seen the film are speculating that perhaps.
So in this
could be
case,
a possible-
James Wan says all he did was set out to just make one movie, but then, you can't really say, what would happen after this.
Yeah,
when
but how
he
they
does
gonna
say when
create
he
another
makes one
story?
film, he does think of an bigger umbrella story. So he does have a bigger story in mind, although in this case he's just telling a section of the bigger story. So I guess if they wanted to,
maybe.
they could. Like,
But
he
then it
could-
might be a different story altogether, not just with her then.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So he makes a good point because
Because
if you think of Saw,
Because they already finished this particular story.
yeah,
It's
that's
hard
right.
to create another story unless they had something else to be planned out.
But that's what he's saying here, right? If you think of Saw, which is the really old movie that he did, like in the first Saw, that's it. They thought that was it. After the first film, shut the door, the end, and then they said, let's make another one, and then they thought of ways to continue the story.
Yeah, but that
How
ended up
many?
really,
How many
really
saws?
bad.
were there?
Effectively,
Four.
I think they're up to 9 now.
It says Saw has
Wow.
spawned 8 sequels, so it's
Oh,
still
there we
not
go.
right.
8 sequels. So
With a
yeah, with
ninth
the
in
ninth in
development.
development. You know what? I've never seen any of those Saw films.
Yeah, they also did a pre-Saw film recently.
Oh, like a prequel.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Jigsaw.
Oh.
And they had like Saw 7, so I already knew that one. Jigsaw has Samuel L. Jackson.
In the film.
Yeah.
Oh.
Which is kind of interesting. I did not like that movie. I would give it a really bad review.
Which one?
Jigsaw.
Oh, Jigsaw. Oh, that's not James. I don't think James Wan did that one.
Yeah, a lot of the newest Saw movies, I just found like really, really just trying to push it too far, and really just meh.
Yeah,
Just didn't do well at all. Like the story wise, it was like absolutely trash,
right.
Mm.
Yeah, it's all
and
about
people
the
just
shock,
watch.
the shock
yeah,
factor.
People
That's it.
just watch it for those games and the kills.
Yeah. Actually, this one doesn't have a lot of like jump scares, that kind of thing as well.
Mm.
Because you know how
A good
when you
movie
watch-
doesn't need jump scares.
Yeah,
that's true,
exactly.
but what I'm saying is in his previous movies, he relied on jump scares a lot.
Mm.
But in this case, I think he's pulling back from that. So
Yep.
there were a few though. There's still a few.
I didn't think that there were any.
Like there was
They-
the one with at the window, and it's like, it's kind of fake, kind of scare.
They didn't find
Actually-
any jump scares.
Actually, there was there's an IGN article,
Yep.
and it says that he's coming on the heels of Aquaman's success, and with
Yep,
a
yep,
commitment to make, he says, I want to make a movie in between these two.
Oh, a small
Just put
movie,
it
yeah.
in. Yeah, and then he said that big fan of titles. I'm trying to find that bit where it says that he deliberately didn't make it. Yeah, one Malignant, one promises, is quote not a jump scare film, end quote.
Yeah. So he doesn't want to repeat what he's been known for. I think this is the article. Is this the one?
Do you have the article? Yeah, that's the
James Wan's-
article.
Is
That's
that
the one.
horror version of Frozen?
Yeah, that's the one.
Frozen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's two sisters.
Ah, yes.
No, yeah. They make a good point.
No, I was actually wrong with the name of the movie. Jigsaw was in 2017.
Okay.
It's called Spiral,
Spiral.
which is also based off Saw.
Oh,
Okay.
Spiral
Jigsaw,
is the
Spiral.
second book in the Ring trilogy.
As well. Interesting. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, this is what Charmian says. It's not a jump scare film, and that those familiar with his filmography may wrongly assume how the horror and stylistic elements in the film will play out. So I think, I don't know, because at the beginning it sort of sets you up for like more. Actually, no, in the very beginning it was like a flashback, wasn't it, to 1993?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The beginning bit was in that hospital. You know, I love how it's very cinematic, where you sort of watch something and then you've got that opening credits or that opening title sequence.
Pre-opening, the teaser.
So before the title sequence, you get a scene, and that's how James Bond films used to work.
I thought he was an alien or something at the beginning.
Yeah, because it's sort of in this curtain, and there's sort of this weird.
Yeah, you see like the
alien
arms and like
fetusy.
the skeleton-y like thing.
Yeah, that scene.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was
Yes.
quite interested why they introduced that so early though.
Yeah, maybe he wanted to. I don't know, because he wanted to maybe set up expectations about, hey, this is not my normal typical standard horror thing. It's
But I think also from a narrative point of view,
yeah.
to see the three doctors, it sets up an expectation of, oh, we know who's next.
Hmm.
We don't know
Yeah,
who,
yeah.
but we know the victims.
Yeah, I guess so.
And I
Yeah.
like how where Marcus has said it's horror, but it's also a traditional thriller and it's psychological.
It's serial
So it's,
killer. It's also potentially a monster movie.
yeah, that's right. Exactly like, Alien and Predator sort of realm.
It's an imaginary friend. It could be any of those things. Serial killer, demon, someone's imagination. Yeah, so that's what he was just going for.
I thought he did that well in terms of there's a sense of vagueness and ambiguity, but yet it's sort of within a parameters of a couple of possibilities.
Yeah.
Yeah, keeps you guessing. Yeah.
Until they revealed it, and then it just went quite single-roaded.
Yeah, that's right. So this is one of those movies where if you know the twist,
I mean, the twist happened, and it just went to all
all out.
I
all
think
out,
it was like all out, like for a whole 30 minutes or so.
violent. Yeah, that's right. Became all out slasher movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the main story was maybe in the first hour, and then the last 30 minutes were like just complete slasher.
Yeah.
Even
I thought it was kind of fun. That was back to like normal horror.
Even the way the victims died, there's a huge sense of malevolence in, like they're just stabbed until they're unrecognizable. There's blood everywhere.
It's really gory. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, this is interesting because this is exactly what he was doing. He was trying to take people's assumption of what he's been known for and make you think that you may potentially be watching a haunted house movie, possession or demon, but then he untwists all of that into more
That's
of
true.
Yeah, that reminds me of another recent horror movie
Yeah.
called The Devil Made Me Do It,
Oh, okay.
which is actually this year as well.
Oh, okay.
The devil made me do it.
Yeah, I like the setup makes you expect one thing.
But if you think about it, it's the Conjuring series.
Well, The Conjuring is haunted house. That's what he was trying to set up in the beginning. But there's some elements of that, but in the end, it's not a haunted house movie.
Yeah, but effectively, it's kind of similar because I say James Wan directed it as well.
Yeah, that's right. So you're expecting classic James Wan, right? And he was trying to kind of move away from the Conjuring.
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting since...
That's right, yeah.
The Devil Made Me Do It was also this year's movie for the Conjuring.
Haunted house. I mean, I always wonder, why do these people live in spooky houses, like big spooky houses like that one?
And I'm sort of going, if it's just two people, because it's just Derek and her, I'm sort of going, why do they need such a big house for just two people?
Do you think it's spooky? It's kind. Do you think it's spookier than Monte Cristo, Charmian?
Oh, their house?
When we went to Monte Cristo earlier this year, that was kind of spooky.
Oh, yeah, definitely was, especially with all that history. Yes.
Well, anyway, I was just reminded of
the size of the house in Psycho. The Bates house up on the hill.
Up on the hill.
3-story.
You mean the research facility? No, the medical.
No, in the movie Psycho, right?
Oh, you're talking about Psycho, okay, not this one.
Yeah.
1960.
No, but we're talking about the size of houses, right?
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Oh, right. The old houses. Yeah.
Yeah, but if you think about it as well, the most recent one apparently was based off a true story of The Conjuring.
Oh, yeah. Conjuring's based on, not based on, maybe inspired by, like, the true occurrences.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, not necessarily.
Lorraine...
They have changed quite a bit of it, but it was based off a proper American
couple
story.
But yeah, Conjuring 3 wasn't directed by James Wan.
Oh.
The first two were, but the third
Mhm.
one, The Devil Made Me Do It, that's someone else. Which
'Cause
is,
Yeah,
it-
but he did have
the-
some part in it.
yeah.
Because Lorraine Warren and her
was
husband were real
produced.
people, and they did have some. I don't know. So they did that sort of thing that the movie presents.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
And obviously the Conjurings also spawned a couple of spin-offs like The Nun.
The Nun.
What's the
yeah.
other one? Annabelle.
Annabelle,
Yeah.
and wasn't there Annabelle 2 as well?
Yeah,
Was
there
there-
was. Yeah. Yeah. So that's the whole Conjuring universe, right? It's a universe in itself. Cinematic horror.
Yeah, so even the title of it says The Demonic Case That Shocked America. Kind of interesting. I thought it was an okay film as well.
I actually missed it. The Conjuring 3. Yeah.
You should watch it. It's interesting. It came out on June the 4th, also on HBO Max.
Yeah, it did. I think this is just before, kind of, not just before, but yeah, before lockdown happened.
Yeah, it happened before lockdown happened. I was able to watch it in
That
cinema.
I saw something else that week. Yeah, so I didn't get to see it. But I mean, if you compare that one with this, like,
I think it would be about the same score for me. For
Okay.
both.
but that one sounds more like a traditional haunted house horror, right?
Not necessarily haunted house.
So it's not haunted house, because Conjuring 1 and 2 were, just mainly set in the haunted house.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because it was sort of like more of like a courtroom case for this one.
Right. So
So it's like pleading to like the jury and stuff,
the scope
and
is
saying
bigger.
that
Right,
the
bigger scope.
that the devil made me do it right in front of the entire like court.
Right.
Because apparently that's what happened in the true story part of it.
Ah,
Everything else is probably just a made up
made up.
thing.
Yeah.
But it was more of like a court case for the whole thing. Kind of interesting. Worth a watch.
Worth a watch. Probably not two horrors in a row. This. So what? Yeah. What would you give this?
I'd maybe give it just a 5.
5. Yeah. Maybe 6.5 for me. Yeah. Like it's kind of suspenseful, and I like the whole mystery feel of it.
Yeah, a bit of mystery is
And the
good.
twist was kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of a similar twist, but taken a different way. Yes.
Yeah.
But maybe I've seen too many movies, so I've seen a lot of story elements being
Yeah.
repeated.
Yeah. Well, again, right? It's just hard to really do
Yeah,
something
Just to make something too
that's
original.
so original that you've never seen before, right? It just doesn't happen, I think.
But the parasitic demon in this turn round is
Yeah, that's
different.
quite different.
So they kind of made something which, like a story element, which maybe wasn't really too original, but they made it their own.
Yeah, that's right. How about
Yeah,
Phil?
in the form that the villain is
He has
some form of a demon, but not in the sense that you expect.
it's actually part of her. Yeah. What about Phil?
Give it a 5.
5 as well. 5.
Jeff Chan.
Yeah, I reckon 6.
3, no higher.
Oh,
The
3 from
3.
Phil, eh?
Would you like to explain that 3?
Just
Yeah,
don't like it.
I just felt that the whole storyline was very weak and pretty unbelievable.
That's the
Unbelievable.
whole point of these type of stories. They're meant to be unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of bonkers, as we said. But,
Yeah.
you know, I
Right.
think as Charmian was saying just now, it's kind of believable.
She
Not
okay.
necessarily
She-
believable now.
She
Look-
can't be in two places at once.
Well, that's the whole thing. She's
many
not.
times-
She's not.
Many
That she
times,
wasn't.
many
Yeah.
times she was in two places at once. She was at the police station when that old guy was being murdered, and the policeman was there in the room.
Oh.
Think about it.
She was at the. You mean when she was in the cell, right? When she was.
No,
No,
Which-
the parasitic twin was able to create like another vision that she could see. So when she was in those areas, it was the figment that the parasitic
Yeah. That's right.
twin created.
That's right. It's her mind is somewhere else, but her body is
Yeah.
actually.
So she was looking at it from the outside,
Yeah.
even though
So
it was her
her
body.
mind is sort of stuck at that point where the other one took over.
So that's why at the end she was able to reverse it, and
Yeah.
the parasitic twin thought that she killed the sister.
Yeah, that's right. And we thought she killed the
Yeah,
sister too.
we thought he killed the sister, but that was the new imagination that
Yeah.
she created for him. So that was not real.
Yeah. So she's.
And that
she's-
birthday
Mm.
cake scene sort of reinforces of the takeover of the mind, that what she sees may or may not be the physical reality.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then does that mean that the whole thing was a dream?
Yeah.
The whole.
Well,
thing-
that's very meta.
Oh, yeah. That's
Or
meta.
very like Matrix-like?
Yeah, I don't think James Wan's going for that.
Probably
meta.
not. No.
It's
But
like
I think that that's always another like step that everyone thinks about if it's like sort of a dream thing. Is it still in a dream or
yeah,
not?
it is, but this genre doesn't seem to fit that kind of thinking. It's not like Chris. I mean, James Wan is not like Chris Nolan, right? Chris Nolan likes to.
Yeah, but you never know what people will think with like a lot of
Yeah.
like theories.
well,
They'll
it was
think
just
whatever they
very,
want.
it was just a very poor horror movie.
Horror movies in general are poor.
And that's
Yeah, I never expect too much from horror movies.
Yep. I
And and
actually
similar-
never rated a horror movie more than a 5, except one horror movie, which
similar
rated
thing
more
with,
than 5.
oh, which one was that one?
Train to Busan, yeah.
Ah,
Yes.
and same
Um,
thing with big blockbusters. You can't really rate them too highly. And for me, a sign of a good film is something I will readily watch again. But once the twist is revealed, and once, even, I don't know, Jurassic World, you know where the jumps are and you know what's going to happen, it's not a fun
Actually,
film.
I like this this review. Can a movie that's deficient in just about every way be redeemed by an original twist? In the case of Malignant, the answer is sort of.
Yeah, kind of.
That's
In fact,
I enjoyed the last part of that, Jared.
yeah, I like the twist. That's what I said, right? The twist is kind of
But
cool.
usually
Yeah, I
with
like
like horror movies as well, I like them to be sometimes predictable.
Yeah.
Like Train to Busan, I found like absolutely ridiculous and funny because a lot of it was predictable and they presented it in such a interesting way.
Yeah, sometimes the execution is what matters, yeah.
Yeah, but effectively, if you know zombie movies, watch Train to Busan. You'll see a lot of those predictable moments presented
Those
in a
cliches
really
coming
nice
up,
way.
all the
Yeah.
zombie cliches, yeah.
Yeah, in a really good way. It was actually quite an enjoyable movie. I watched it like 7 times.
Malignant is trashy but in a fun way. It's also something you've never quite seen before. In some ways, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's another good succinct way of describing and setting expectations.
Malignant is different and up to a point, fast-moving enough to write roughshod over some increasingly dumb script developments.
Yes, that's another.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of putting it because horror movie scripts are never good anyway. So
I'm going to go with Christian what's his name?
Oh, Christian Toto.
Toto. Yeah.
James Wan forgets everything he knows about horror for this shocking, silly dud. So the reviews are kind of, I would say, more in the positive than the negative because it's kind of, I mean...
Yeah, but the thing is with the horror movie, I don't rate them.
Yeah.
I sort of rate it differently than other movies. Mainly because it's a horror movie which always has a bad story.
Oh, it went up. By the way, we are one of the very earliest people to see this film. It just got released 6 hours ago.
Oh, really?
So the reviews are still trickling in. See, it's only at 23.
But the thing is, I tend to rate horror stories differently because I always have like a low
I
expectation.
didn't get a copy.
Yeah, that's good.
Well,
So you'll be
horror stories
surprised.
don't generally have a very complex and robust storyline.
Exactly. So I can't.
Simple
Yeah.
storyline, but you want it to be told well
Yeah.
and to either create tension or jump scares. That's really what a horror film
That's
is.
all
Yeah,
it
that's why I
requires to
can't
be, right?
really
So
rate these movies, like horror
Yeah,
movies, differently
exactly.
to other movies.
yeah, but
Yeah,
you rate it on its own merit, right? As a horror movie, does it provide the scares, the suspense, the
That's
chills?
right. That's
No,
right.
it's not so much the story because that's not
Suspense,
what you are going for.
I guess so. Scares, not
Hmm.
really. Horror, not too much horror. But the solid 5 for what it is.
Yeah.
If it was rated as any other movie, like with like the blockbusters and everything, it would probably be like a 2 or 1 to me. But I'm rating this as a horror movie, not as like a high budget movie.
Yeah, because even I don't see this as a horror film.
Yeah, it's a
But I
campy
think
one.
I think
It's more to me. It still feels more suspense thriller than actual horror.
yeah, probably.
Yeah, it's fun and bloody time, especially for those getting ready for Halloween. And apparently, there's some influences of Italian cinema I felt throughout Malignant.
Oh,
Why? I haven't seen much of Italian cinema.
I
I
think-
think I know where they come from. If you, I'm even with foreign films, I'm still not the suspense thriller horror person. It's just not my genre. So I tend to only watch them with people. But I do find that European thriller horror,
Yeah.
similar like this one, they're very economical with
Oh,
dialogue and it's
Yeah.
very impactful.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is good acting and the cast aren't too bad.
Mm.
And that you've got interesting enough characters that, okay, it's a suspense horror. We're not dealing with drama, but they are different enough to work off each other. For example, the 2 cops
Mm.
and the sister and the mother.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 2 cops, I found that their relationship was kind of funny.
Funny, yeah.
Yeah, I
Sort
liked
of
it.
Whimsical.
Like how they like communicate with each other was just like probably one of the highlights, I guess, or one of the more funny parts of the show.
Yeah, yeah. Kind of like Mulder and Scully.
Yeah.
Oh, I like what Grace Randolph said. An instant camp classic. It starts off intentionally bad. Totally agree. That initial.
By the way, that's why Hubert dropped out after 10 minutes because it
Oh!
was cheesy.
Oh, you watched a bit of it?
because
Oh.
I was about to ask, did anyone notice when
He
Hubert dropped
did.
out? I
And
thought
I
he.
asked him and he said, yeah, cheesy. Well, this is exactly intentional.
Yeah. The pre
He was only there for a bit.
titles, the pre-title sequence scene, I was going, this is really over the top and really weird. Then the second scene is gosh, this guy's an asshole. Why is she with him? And then when, weird things starts happening, I go,
yeah.
the little cliched here. So it you need to get over those 2
Yeah,
initial
you need to get
hurdles.
over those.
Yeah,
But
I
then-
find that after those two hurdles, then it starts to pick up.
Yeah, it kind of did pick up.
Or rather, Grace describes it and goes nuts.
Oh, and then goes nuts. Yeah.
Yeah, so if you read her review, sorry, Marcus.
Goes bonkers, as someone said. Goes nuts.
It starts off intentionally bad and then goes nuts. Avoid spoilers. The complete opposite of the two Conjuring movies, but just as masterful.
Which the other two Conjuring movies were not that great either.
Oh, I thought The Nun was pretty good.
The Nun.
Well, Conjuring 1 and 2, I suppose, they're regarded quite highly amongst horror fans. I mean, that's what kind of put James Wan on the map, right? Like, after he's known for his horror stuff.
I'm so glad you guys remember directors and what they did. So, because I was going, oh, that's a familiar name. What else did he do?
James Wan is
Aquaman.
Aquaman.
He's the Malaysian dude.
Yeah, I did look him up
Okay.
because it was so cheesy and campy at the first two scenes. I went, let me just look up who's involved, who the actors are. And James Wan is like Malaysian, Chinese Malaysian, but he's actually Australian.
Yeah,
I
that's
actually
right.
didn't
He's
know that he
Melbourne.
was Australian. It's just
He's born. He's,
And then
in Melbourne, yeah.
and
But
you
born
know
in
that,
Malaysia, but moved to Perth, and then relocated to Melbourne.
And you know the chick that plays that forensic CSI person who bags evidence and so says, "Oh,
Yes.
that's half a trophy. I don't know where the other half is." That's she's a co-writer.
Oh,
And
the
she's
wife.
James Wan's wife. Yeah, she's the wife.
She was the nun, I think.
Oh, was she the nun?
Hang on, let me check, cause I know her name is Ingrid.
It starts with a B.
Yeah, Ingrid Bisu. So I think she played the nun, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, the like the innocent nun that we see the nun story.
oh, and she
So-
was also in the recent The Conjuring movie.
Oh, Tony Erdmann. That's a great film. For those interested in foreign films, that's a. I think that actually won that year's Best Foreign Language Film Oscar. Yep, I'm pretty sure, because that was a great year for foreign films. It was also the year of En man som hette Uwe, a man called Uwe. And I
Yeah,
can't
this
remember what
is
the other
her
one was.
in. So she's not the nun, but she was one of the sisters. But then I think after this movie she got married to James Wan. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, and
Did the nun really actually do well?
it did quite alright, I think. Yeah.
Hey, 24% Rotten Tomatoes.
No, I mean as in
Box office.
office wise, yeah.
Yeah.
Not the like
I don't
critic scores.
like you, Jono. I never expect horror films to rate highly.
Yeah. How much did The Conjuring get? The recent one.
The Conjuring. Oh, the. Well, if you rate
I mean,
all
the recent
three,
one.
the first one is really good.
Yeah, the first one I thought was quite okay.
And then Conjuring
Conjuring 2.
2, also pretty good. Conjuring 3, I think it's decent too. Yeah, Conjuring 3.
Oh, was there 3?
Which is the one that Jono said, the devil
Yeah,
made me do
that
it.
was the one I was talking
Oh.
about. That was also released this year.
Ah,
Yeah,
right.
yeah. Because it is
And
the only
that's-
one not by James Wan. The
Oh, this
first
is
two
not by
were
James Wan.
directed by.
Well, he did help write the story.
Yeah, but not direct. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
So, is someone guy called Michael Chavis?
Yeah, and James Wan is still part producer.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe James Wan's got so many projects on the go, he couldn't commit to directing that one.
Yeah, he's doing
Probably.
Aquaman 2, right?
Yeah.
So,
And he did this show, so he must have had a bit on his plate.
I also looked up. I forgot to look up that the other policeman, but
Oh,
the
the actor.
guy, the actor, because when I looked at him, I went, he looks like Eurasian or Chinese
Yeah,
or
a bit.
something,
Yeah.
but he is. So he's English actually. He's an English actor, not American.
Hmm.
His father's Chinese, and his mother's Greek Cypriot, but born and educated in the UK.
Actually, here's all the cast members. So the one that you mentioned, or Annabelle, that's the main one. There's Madison's, that's Sydney Lake. This guy, right? George Young.
Yeah. That's him.
Yeah, I haven't.
Yeah, I didn't really follow too many of all of the actors and stuff.
No, I don't know.
So sometimes I didn't really need to know.
Mm.
So I just watched the movie as is.
And you know, Dr. Florence Weaver is played by an Australian, Jacqueline
Mackenzie.
Yeah, I saw the name in the opening title sequence. I went, "Oh, yes,
Oh, right.
okay."
So, okay. And then there's Jack Abel. Who's this? Derek Mitchell. Oh, the abusive husband. Only for a little bit in the beginning. And then Ingrid
Yeah,
Rapp,
it didn't
the
take
wife.
long for me to go, why is she with this jerk?
And then the wife of James Wan plays the CST Winnie.
Oh, so that was also her in the Devil Made Me Do It.
Oh, was that her?
Ingrid Bisu.
Yeah, it says
Oh, right.
Bisu also appeared in The Nun and this year's Conjuring. The Devil Made Me Do It.
Well, James Wan put her in all the movies. Yeah.
I didn't really recognize the names too much, so I didn't really get so much.
No, they're not as well known.
Yeah.
And then there's McKenna Grace.
You
young
guys
lady.
Why is McKenna Grace appearing in so many kid shows and young people?
McKenna Grace.
Didn't,
That's a familiar name. Has
yeah.
McKenna Grace been in other stuff?
Some Marvel.
Captain Marvel.
Oh,
Yeah.
Marvel.
I think she played the younger version of Captain Marvel.
Ah.
Yes.
Oh yeah, and Independence Day Resurgence.
Oh, yes,
Yeah,
we did see that.
I don't think I've seen that.
Oh.
I, Tonya. I haven't seen that either.
Haven't
Angry
seen
Birds
it.
movie. Yeah, it's a voice.
Handmaid's Tale.
I haven't seen that. The TV series.
Uh-huh.
And then there's Zoe Bell.
I have no idea.
Zoe Bell.
Stunt performer.
Who's Zoe Bell?
Mysterious role. Well, obviously, this article can't say, otherwise it'll spoil the whole thing. But I reckon
Zoe
maybe
Bell.
it's the twin.
Zoe Bell.
You reckon? Maybe?
It just says Zoe Bell is Scorpion. Who is Scorpion?
Scorpion, yeah.
Scorpion.
I have no idea.
It says Marina Mazepar as Gabrielle on Wikipedia.
Oh, so it's not. Okay.
No, so who the heck was Scorpion?
Scorpion.
Oh, yeah, we're still in the Malignant
Oh,
one.
cool.
Interesting. I have no idea.
Christian Clemenson. Yeah, this is this guy. One of the doctors who got killed.
Oh, Dr. Victor Fields.
John Louis Kelly. Jane Doe Serena.
Paula
Susanna
Moore.
Thompson. Oh, I know her.
Where is she from?
She played the Borg Queen in Star Trek.
Ah, it does mention Star Trek Deep Space Nine,
And
Star
Voyager.
Trek Voyager.
The Borg Queen.
Oh, that's good recognizing, because the Borg Queen's got so much makeup. It's very hard to picture what they actually look like.
Well,
That's
yeah.
very-
So it's interesting. This
She
was
looks
a
like
while-
she looks like the one from the Arrowverse.
Yeah, she's also the mom of Oliver Queen, right? Possibly.
Lots of makeup and very little hair.
Yeah,
Mm.
indeed.
The Borg Queen.
Yes. Yeah, can't that's so hard to picture. Like, hair makes such a difference.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like people in makeup look so different.
I know, and this is
wow.
also like 20 years ago. So
And also the Boar Queen never smiles. So to see a shot where she's smiling, you sort of go, is that really the same person? Oh, she's played a is that a Vulcan or a Romulan?
I have
Well,
no
well,
idea, but effectively, a person which I thought had a lot of makeup I did not even know was probably the Nebula actress. But then when she was in other movies
Gunpowder Milkshake.
like Gunpowder Milkshake and the new Jumanji show, I had no idea that she was a redhead
Yeah.
because I've never seen her play other than Nebula until that time.
Yeah. It wasn't until you guys said, oh no, she plays Nebula, and I went, oh, really? Okay.
Yep,
well,
I didn't know her
it's,
other roles,
okay.
but yeah, interesting.
yeah, I think.
And apparently later I heard that she was in Doctor Who, but I've never watched the show.
Right.
Oh, bye, Bill.
All right.
And
Maybe
Bill
we
popped
should
up.
go anyway. It's
Yeah.
12:15.
Oh, hey, can I ask